Triple TD, Alvin Ortiz. Yeah, doing terrible thing to develop. This is the first page. This is the mainframe. You're gonna refer to this every now and then. It's about mental powers and the potential everyone this world has. With the individual pool coming in, we're gonna get into things we've never gotten into before. I'm at the highest level of all this, and I know we've listened to a lot of people. We already talked about. We already seen what psychics, telepaths, and fortune tellers can do. Dual realities, dualities, casual, causalities and stuff. There's always two realities. One out there and one here. We validate one reality at the end of time. And we're in 2020. This is the year 2020 when we're in the apex of all ideologies, all mentalities. Everybody wants to be at the best of what they do. Everybody wants to be right. Everybody wants to be correct. So we have to try to understand how do some of these events occur. And what it is there are inner dimensions within oneself that are embryonic. They form, they grow, and then your inner self gets in touch with your outer self, and you form an event, a real event. People wonder how you have things happening in this world. Well, I'll explain. I'm gonna try to explain to the best of my ability. There is a vertical hold on the reality line, and the inside comes outside. And there's my time and space, and then there's the universal time and space. So the let's say my time and space is a straight line, and the universal time and space is a dotted line, and they meet at some point. An event is the junction or the meeting point. And the cohesion is made by belief out of confusion. Like for example, Doug Flutie. You ever seen when the Doug Flutie threw up the Hail Mary, and they scored a touchdown? He threw it up in the air, and there were various receivers, various cornerbacks in the end zone. And the confusion was there was no intended receiver. It was just thrown there. The ball was thrown into the air, and there was a relief catch. Somebody tapped it, another guy tapped it, and then somebody caught it in the end zone. It was a touchdown. It was goal, and that's a good example of a relief catch. When it comes to a simple one, when it comes to when you want this goal of something that's impossible but can be possible, many yards away, and they won the game, and they achieved their goal. Well, these things can happen in all senses. We either do it by whim, will, or syntax. If you've had instances or peculiarities in hearing voices or deja vu, then there's potential for use of your mental powers, or other things, little small things that make you think, wait, what's going on here, There's a philosophical structure. We all have a philosophical structure that we put together, and we make our own justice. We have our own justice, our own judgment to what we want to happen, we want to occur. And this philosophical structure, there's usually two sides to the story. There's your side, there's a universal side, or there's your side, there's another person's side to the story. And there has to be one true story in the end, one true judgment, one true conviction. So these things happen when you decide how do you want or how do you want it to happen, or what do you want the outcome. You have a pyrokinetic who puts a building on fire. Magnetism manipulation. The guy drops a plane or something. Helicopter. With his mind, he's on the ground. Then he looks up in the sky and helicopter falls. Or he changes the route. He affects. You have all kinds of things. And what's also possible is when you have the same thing happen twice, you can have the same thing happen 2 or 3 times. The same exact thing will happen 2 or 3 times. That's known as plural behavior. You have all these things happening. They usually refer to it as phenomenological intentionality, when it's but when you have one being affecting another, you have an abductor DNA and an abductee DNA. You know, one DNA is affecting the other DNA. You know, all inanimate objects are connected somehow. And what happens is you send a message, your observation will send a message to something out there unconsciously because it's all a consciousness game. It's a consciousness game. So you know that there's a you have to remember a couple things. There's an encrypted wave. You send an encrypted wave out. You know, a brain wave goes out. It's encrypted so that not everything can read it, but the gnosis, the gnosis is the thing you're controlling, the person you're controlling, the event you want made to happen, to be controlled. This can be done without touching things, without telling anybody, without writing it down. It's just from one inner dimension, the mind, you know, the pineal gland, to another. It can be done in several ways. It doesn't have to be necessarily you you can ask on it or talk about it. You know, I've seen various examples of how this is done. You know, I've done lots of things in my life. You know, and people often ask, "How do you do that? How did you do this? How did you achieve that? How did you, you know?" And there are many of us like this, special. And but it's gonna get more uh, intense as we go along. There's going to be more intense behavior in that as we go along. So yeah, these are the times, biblical times. In any religious book, you'll see that you talk about it. It's going to a war of good against evil. And if you have good intentions, well, you might have an advantage over the things that are happening in life. But if you have evil intentions, then you just have to find a way to adjust to how the universe is going to combine with you, so that you can live a long life, so that you can understand how things are going. You know, there's other things like atomic timing, ponytails or pony boy tails, like the movie Outsider. You have this story of the of this a person in a vulnerable situation, a person in a sad situation, but ends up doing something good or something great, or ends up overcoming some obstacle, some hump in life. You know, those are known as pony boy tails, ponytails. You know, and we give everything, since we're the judge of what happens out there. You're the actual judge of your destiny. You give it a higher sentence than what another judge would give that event or that situation, that person, that thing. You give it a higher sentence, a higher sentence, and your potential can can uh, can run 10 circles around anybody else. Anybody else, the fastest person in the world, you can run 10 circles around the fastest person in the world. You can run 10 circles around Quicksilver, you know, if you choose it, because it's your justice. Because you see good things. What you see are good things. To you, it's a good thing. What you see, maybe somebody will see it different. You know, you save somebody, you rescue somebody from a boat, from drowning. Or you try, and you see it as a good thing. Somebody else might see it as a bad thing. You defend yourself. You take something you shouldn't have taken. You see it as a good thing, but somebody else sees it as a bad thing. You see, so these are things that I'm just throwing this out in the air. Like I said, this is the main frame. We're gonna take this apart as we go along. But what I'm doing here is I'm trying to show you your potential, the best you can do with your mind. We've done everything with the physical. We've done everything out here with the physical. Everything's been measured. Everything has been in statistics. Everything's been written down. Everything. Now is the time that your soul is in place with your mind and your heart, and you want to do things in life. You know. Now I'm gonna attack this syntax thing. Syntax is, you know how you write something on a computer. The syntax. These words will come up. These words will come up, and it's syntax. It's the wording. Syntax is wording. You know, that's one way of how you might be able to change something and you don't even know it, or you've done it and you're wondering how, and it's almost there, but you can't figure it out. You just said it, but you can't find the words. Like, you might see a word like off-road mayhem, and you'll think off-road mayhem is it's just that it's off-road mayhem. They're having an off-road race, and they're having fun there. But it can mean other things. An automator, you know, tomater, automator, or tomato, simply tomato. The way people talk, the way people say things, these things go into effects. In fact, we see examples of this in I post a lot of movie scenes in which they show a person's emotion and how that emotion or the way they feel affect the environment around them. That's the abductor DNA affecting the abductee DNA. Like when they show Professor X telling Magneto, "Oh, you reach your cross points, serenity and rage, and he moves the antenna. That's a good example. Apocalypse when he seeps the guy into the wall, he sends the guy into the wall. He puts the fire on a sword. Professor X just simply stops time for a minute so he can figure things out. He stops time for a minute. The mind does that on the inside. It stops time for a minute. You stop the concentration and everything else, and you concentrate on that one thing. Well, sometimes that can go further. You know. So we see these things. I'm moving really fast in this first stage, this first page, so that we can understand that the mind is a terrible thing to develop, which is what the page is called, triple TD, and we're gonna have fun here. I I go a little fast, so you gotta try to keep up. If you don't understand what I'm saying, get a dictionary, get a thesaurus, get whatever you have to get. I don't. We have a lot of smart people out there. A lot of people are slow, but this is survival of the fittest, like the Bible says. Survival of the fittest. Remember that. We're gonna try to make you understand things like simple things. Simple things are already explained. You know what a static cling is. When something sticks to your clothing, oh my God, what is that? And they told you in time that was a static cling is just fibers sticking to each other because of the fabric. The fabric sticks to each other because of cotton or whatever. And there's glitches. Before it was glitch, there was a glitch in the computer, and everybody was going all crazy, and until it was explained. Well, see, here we're moving a lot faster. And you can enjoy my page. Thank you for listening. This is about enough for now. Have a good time. God bless you. Have a good night, and we'll get to this. That's good for now.